So here it is, the Redmi K20 Pro. A lot of you have been asking for my review. So in the global markets, this is going to be called the Mi 9T Pro. Very promising looking phone that offers a lot for the price. So we've got a Snapdragon 855 up to 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of UFS 2.1 storage, a 4000 milliamp hour battery, and of course the screen, which is without any notches. It's a full screen experience. It's a 6.39-inch AMOLED panel from Samsung.
So I've got a completely factory sealed box, as you can see, straight in from China. And on the back, we've got that funny little dragon, as you can see. So inside the box, you'll find our Type-C cable in white, a Qualcomm Quick Charge 3 charger, so it's 18 watts. It does support Qualcomm's Quick Charge 4. If you happen to buy that separately, then you can fully charge the phone in around about an hour and 25 minutes. We get some instruction leaflets here, and then this hard case, which has a matte black finish to it. So our phone weighs in at 196 grams. It's not the lightest phone out there, by no means. It does have that 4000 watt hour battery, probably making it a little bit heavier, of course, than the Mi 9. The thickness of the phone is 9.9 millimeters. So the back of the phone is covered with glass. It has curved edges, and it does feel quite good in hand, the build of it, and the finish, as expected from Xiaomi, that it is a high quality finish. And I like what they've done with the back of the phone. So black in the middle with the red accents on the outer edges, and depending on the angle you can see, it creates like this wave effect on the back of it, which does look really good. So for cameras on the back here, the top sensor to me looks to be the 48 megapixel main sensor. It is a Sony IMX586. Below it is our 3x zoom camera, that's 8 megapixels, and then the 13 megapixel camera, which is our ultra wide dual tone LED flash. Now I can see two tiny little dots here, so this does have infrared focused assist. On the bottom of the phone you will find a single loudspeaker, so there are no dual loudspeakers on this particular model, which is a shame. Microphone, Type-C port that does not support video out, and our SIM tray. So the SIM tray takes 2 nano SIMs, no micro SD card support. On the left hand side we simply just have an antenna line, so there's no buttons here. Those buttons are located on the right hand side, so our power button and the volume up and down. Both of the buttons have a good feel to them, they do not rattle around, and very easy access to that power button. Up the top you will find the pop-up camera that does have a status LED within it, a 3.5mm headphone jack. Great to have this here, and why didn't we get it on the Mi 9? And then a secondary mic there for noise cancellation and used in videos, and you can just see right there an antenna line as well. Now I'll show you the pop-up camera, which is kind of cool that there is a little LED light that is within it for our notification light, but it also lights up, as you can see now, either side of the camera, and that is when you press it to pop it up and then to retract it as well. Do that again. The whole process takes about 2 seconds, and there is no face unlocking with this front-facing camera, at least at the time of this video. Now let's take a look at that screen. So we've got a resolution of 2340 by 1080p. The screen bezels, as I pointed out, they are very slim, as you can see, and maximum brightness is very good. So it's 820 lux. This is an excellent result. Sunlight legibility is very good. One of the better displays that you will see, definitely from the Chinese brands. And the gamma here checks out to be about 2.4. So it's a little off here. It should be 2.2 ideally. And because it is an AMOLED panel, blacks here do look quite deep. And we don't get those IPS problems. So there's no light leakage. There's no shadowing in the corners that I've pointed out on some other IPS panels like the Zenfone 6, for example. None of that. No white bright spots. That's why I personally prefer to have an AMOLED screen in my mobile phone over an IPS for that particular reason. Now, touch response and the accuracy is very good. Absolutely no problems. I really do like the display that they have put in this one, Xiaomi. So I wanted to point out the sunlight legibility, but first let's test the fingerprint reader, which can be a little bit slow at times. So I place my thumb there, it unlocks, and you can see you can make out the screen here. Because it is that bright 800 lux, I find that the sunlight legibility is actually very good on this model. It might not be coming out in the camera, the sample I'm giving you right now, but trust me, it is actually quite good. I wanted to talk, as I do in my reviews, a little bit about the performance of the ROM here. Now the software is the biggest downfall, it seems always really, with Xiaomi. And it's not any different here. Okay, so the notifications, none of the icons are showing there at the top. Now, just to give you an example, this just happens to be the other Snapdragon 855 mobile I'm looking at right here. See how you get the notification icons at the top? So you can see I've got 2 YouTube ones there, Gmail, and something else there. But you don't get any of those here with Xiaomi. Now, this is because maybe I'm on the Chinese ROM, so it could be that. But I believe it's just the way that Xiaomi are pushing forward with MIUI lately, that they don't want to see us to see them there, and that's something I think is wrong, a mistake. So the performance of the ROM, like multitasking, going through things, is good, I've noticed. But yet again, sometimes you do see the occasional tiny little stutter there. Now, I just wanted to test as well the fingerprint reader to show you what it's like. So you just need to tap the screen, place my thumb here, and there we go, unlock. So it is quite quick, and I'm not really having any problems with it. It's one of the better fingerprint readers, at least. It's definitely not as poor as some of the earlier first model ones, so that's good. So most of the time, the performance is really good. I mean, most people will not actually see the little stutters that I detect here and there. So you can see that it noticeably sometimes dips below 60 frames per second, the 60 hertz of the refresh rate of this display. But app launch times are really good. I will go through some of the benchmarks as well. So I am on the latest version of the software here at the time of this video. Now there is another bug I wanted to talk about, and that's the wireless. Okay, it's not picking up my 5G. For some reason, I can't connect to it here, so that's something they probably will patch. They should, hopefully, definitely do that. So I cannot test out 5G wireless at least. Now, because I'm on the Chinese version, yes, you get quite a few bloatware applications, but you can go in and uninstall all of those. So if you can't wait for the Mi 9T Pro or the Mi 9T, then this is all you need to do is go in there and uninstall them. So not too much of an issue. Now I've got the 256GB version, and you get approximately 240 gigabytes free. As mentioned, no micro SD card support. So one of the cons here is no Widevine level 3 cert, okay? So this, again, could just be a Chinese ROM problem. Hopefully the global version of this phone, which is going to be the Mi 9T Pro, will have a level 1 cert so we can watch Netflix, Amazon Prime in full HD. Good news here with Camera 2 API, so it is running. The hardware support level is level 3, so that's what we want. So Gcam ports, eventually when people do get those out, they will work for it. And it just needs, of course, a developer on XDA, someone to tweak and work on that. I have actually tested it out, and Gcam at the moment is not working. So dual band GPS, we can tell because the carrier frequency, we have a level 5 and a level 1. So that's good news there. And then I just move on to, as well, the GPS. So GPS, no problems. Look at how many satellites it sees, like 38 in view, locked on and using 33. This is one of the highest numbers I've seen, so that's really good. Here's the Antutu score. So it does have quite a decent score, not the highest I've seen, which goes to the Red Magic 3, so check my channel for the review of that one there. But overall, for the chipset, it's very fast, very decent, as you can see. And I just wanted to point out too, the audio codec that has been used, so the bitrate is 96 kilobytes per second for our audio. Still low, so still scratchy audio, as you'll see later on when I review the camera on this phone. And the internal storage, so we have UFS 2.1 spec, very good sequential write speeds here. So the random write's a little bit faster than other phones I've tested that can sometimes be about 150, 190, and this one is 260 almost there. So good scores, good internal storage speeds, LTE speeds as well, no complaints here. There is no band 20, I believe, on the particular Chinese model that's out at the moment, of course, of the K20 Pro. Now, wireless speeds, because of that bug I was talking about, I can't get onto my 5G router here, and I can't get onto my one at home. I don't know what's going on, but I cannot test out the full speeds. It seems to be okay on the 2.4G wireless, and no real issues. It's just that, as mentioned, I cannot test its proper speed. Now onto audio. So we don't have dual loudspeakers here, sadly. That would have been great if they had included that, because that really does add to the immersion, especially when gaming, to have sound coming out the top right here. So the speaker at the bottom, downwards firing. The loudness is good, a little bit of bass to it, as you'll hear from my sample, but I also wanted to talk about the 3.5mm headphone jack. So very good quality out of this. It sounds great to me, no complaints with it whatsoever, but here's that sample now of the loudspeaker. And let's not forget that this is a mobile phone. What's the call quality like? So it's fine, no complaints, no issues. The earpiece sounds great, and the other end also said that I sounded just fine. Okay, so this is an all-glass phone, and stating the obvious, yes, of course it is slippery. That's why they included the case. Now, the case isn't actually too bad. It's a very slim fit, as you can see. It does protect the cameras. It's not going to really offer too much in terms of drop protection. Now, placing it face down like I have now, I can say that it just does actually stop the screen, the glass, from touching. And we've got all the ports, top and bottom, open as well, and protection for the buttons, as you can see. So here we have PUBG. Now it's running at 60 frames per second. There is a little feature that I'll just show you. So if you swipe here from the left, you can see right here, we've got this, which is called their Game Turbo, and you can see 60 frames per second, which it runs at stable. Now I've used GFX tool to override that. And oh, I'm about to die again. Okay, I didn't die this time. This is my second time recording because I died straight away last time. But yeah, all the games I have tested, so Blades, Asphalt 9, it's all running smooth as you'd expect. Occasionally you get a tiny little stutter, but the gaming performance really good. You can see when I look down the scope here, it's just the whole time a steady 60 frames per second, as you would expect, of course, with this particular hardware and the 8 gigabytes of RAM that I have. And lastly, let's take a look at the camera. So it's pretty straightforward. If you've seen all my other reviews, Xiaomi phones, it's very similar right here. So we've got slow motion mode here, video. This is to move over to the wide angle, if you tap that, and over to the 2 times as well. Okay, but we cannot use this in video. So when you're in the video mode and you start recording, I'll just demonstrate that. You can see we cannot actually swap over, which is a shame. I hope that they add this in later firmware updates, which I'm sure they could, like other manufacturers. 48 megapixel mode. Now this to me is a little bit of a gimmick, okay? Because the quality of the photo, you get more detail, but you get a lot more noise. And when it is pixel binning from the 48 megapixels down to 12 with the Sony IMX586, it's actually better just to leave it on the default 12 megapixels. That's my recommendation. They have their night mode, so I'll give you samples of that shortly. And Pro is the other interesting one here. So we've got white balance, focus, shutter rate, ISO, and then you can select which lens you want. And you can select all 3 of the camera sensors and lenses, which is really good there. But let's take a look now at some video samples first and later followed up by some photo samples. This is the front-facing camera, so 1080p max here. And you can see that there is no electronic image stabilization. Even though it's enabled in settings, it's clearly not working. The footage is a little bit shaky. So the focal distance is not too bad. It is a fixed focus. You don't have to hold your hand out too far. It's kind of like just normal. So my arm's not completely extended like that. Audio quality, a little bit scratchy. The bitrate could be improved upon. Of course, hopefully with software updates, they add the stabilization, because otherwise this 1080p front-facing quality is good. And maybe they could even add 4K at a future date too with some firmware updates. So this is a sample of 4K video. The electronic image stabilization is good, but it's not flawless. You'll see as I pan around, even if I do a slow pan, there is quite a bit of judder to the video. Now the audio quality, as I always complain about, it could definitely be improved. Focus seems good because it does have the infrared assistance. And I just demonstrate again the stabilization. Go down these stairs here. So you can see it does do quite a good job. And overall quality is very similar to Xiaomi's Mi 9.
So what I've been missing is, of course, battery life stats from this review. I will post an update video or a Twitter update, but I've lost 11% in 1 hour of my demanding use and basically just 100% screen on time. So it is looking battery-wise like 2 days for most people, and it will be definitely one day, I believe, for heavy users. Gaming performance is really good for the most part. It's smooth, it's fluid. PUBG, when you override the default settings using that GFX tool, get the 60 frames per second there, really smooth and fluid. Other games like Shadowgun, I did notice a few little stutters here and there, but I've seen it with other Snapdragon 855 mobiles as well. So 3.5mm headphone jack output, very good. We don't have wireless charging on this, we don't have a dual loudspeaker, but the loudspeaker on the bottom is really quite good. And the overall build and finish, really, really good. It really is. And the screen, no bezels on it, a very nice, super bright AMOLED panel. The pop-up camera takes an okay selfie photo. It doesn't have any electronic image stabilization at the moment with the front-facing camera video. And the rear camera video and the front-facing, like I always mention now in my videos, the audio quality is something that Xiaomi needs to address. Okay, low bit rate, scratchy audio, it's not the best compared to other flagships. If they fix that and they fix all the other bugs I'm seeing, they've got themselves a true, absolute powerhouse of a phone. And yes, even though I hate the term a flagship killer, I really do not like that term at all. But the cons, okay, could just be related to the Chinese ROM. And that is like not seeing notifications at the top. You have to swipe down to see everything. I am seeing a few stutters still with full screen gestures. At one point it was fixed and it's kind of come back again. But for about 90% of the time, you won't see any stutters. It's just a couple little micro stutters here and there. It's very smooth, very, very fluid too, especially with the 8GB of RAM I have on my particular model. Now, no widevine level 1 cert. So that means no Amazon Prime, Netflix, Full HD streaming. Again, that could just be the Chinese ROM, so hopefully they will address that. So the hardware's all there, just the software, the bugs that I'm seeing, and I just cross my fingers that in a couple of months it's going to be all fixed, and when we get the global version of this particular model, which is going to be the Mi 9T Pro, then hopefully then it's going to be all fixed. So thank you so much for watching this review. Now, if you are interested in another good value for money Snapdragon 855 mobile, this one's hard to beat as well, which is the Asus Zenfone 6. It has 6GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. The starting out price, I think about 450 US, so very similar to this mobile here, but you get stock Android and 1000 mAh battery life size more. So it goes for about 13 hours of screen on time, this one. But it has an IPS panel, that's its downfall. It's not, at least my one, not a super high quality IPS panel either, but a very good phone too. So check out my review of that, which is right up here. And again, thank you so much for watching this video. Please do like and subscribe for more. Bye for now.